Hello everybody, Lord Almighty here. Today is Sunday, February 4th, 2018, and today I am taking my first trip of the year dedicated solely to bass fishing. I'm putting my quest for yellow perch on hold for two reasons. One, because it's starting to become a debacle and I just need to take a little break from it. Second of all, it's because of the conditions we're faced with today. As many of you are aware, on Friday we had a huge nor'easter blow through the northeast, and we're still seeing some residual winds from that. We're getting gusts up to 20 today, and fishing with light line and small lures in those kinds of conditions is extremely difficult. So I decided to see if I couldn't bag some early season bass today. I'm going to be starting out with one of the most venerable of springtime fishing lures, the old red rattle trap. Gonna see if that turns up any pre-spawn bass today in this high, pretty muddy water actually. Hitting a lot of grass, which is actually good. A lot of times when you pull it through grass and then pop it out, that's when the fish are gonna hit. Anytime you can find grass in the winter, you definitely want to key in on it because fish will hold in there. I feel like because of the conditions I have today, could be a big fish day. I may not get many bites, but I feel like today is the day where I could get a 3 or a 4, maybe even a 5-pounder. Or I could just catch a bunch of pickerel. That's always a possibility too. Okay, well I worked down this bank with the rattle trap and didn't get any hits. So I switched over to this black and blue chatterbait. It's something I can work a little bit slower and it's not as loud as the lipless crankbait. But it still moves a lot of water, so these fish should have no trouble finding it in this dingy water. Alright guys, well I fished a good portion of this pond and I got absolutely no hits, so as of right now, not feeling it at this spot. So I'm going to pick up and head over to another spot. So sit tight and I will see you in a couple of seconds. Alright everyone, well here we are at the next spot. Hopefully this one treats me a little bit better than the last pond did. I moved back to the lipless crank because I want to cover some water and see if I can find any fish that are willing to give this thing a reaction strike. We'll see how things play out today. Like I said, I might only get 1 or 2 bites today. I might get no bites today. There's a very real possibility that I could get skunked. We will see. Well, so far today has been a rough one, which I kind of expected going in, given the conditions we have. Post front, high, cold, muddy water. That's never easy. But I feel like I'm making good decisions today. Even if I'm not making the best decisions, I feel like I'm making good decisions. And I feel like I'm giving myself the best possible chance for a hookup today. Now, I've certainly been wrong before, but I've been right before too. So, my confidence is still pretty high that something good is going to happen today. Just what I wanted to see. Starting to get white caps on the lake. It's a shame that sun ain't coming out. It was teasing me a little bit before. Alright, well, I worked the lipless down this entire shoreline along the railroad tracks, nothing. And then I was dragging this jig right through this creek channel in here, nothing. So, yeah, apparently what I'm doing today ain't working. So, I'm going to call this spot a wash and head back to the car and warm up a little bit first of all, because my hands are freezing from this wind. But then I'm going to plan my next move and hopefully figure out a way to put some kind of fish on the board. So sit tight and I'll be back in a couple of seconds. Alright guys, made it here to the third spot of the day, and I've made a couple of changes to my plan. First of all, I ditched the bait caster and now I'm going with a spinning rod because I want to throw some lighter, more subtle lures, which I think might do better in cold water. And second of all, I tried to find a pond that has cleaner water. This one, it's not much cleaner, but it is definitely cleaner than the other spots that I hit today. So I'm going to start throwing around some lighter lures in this cleaner water, and hopefully that will be my recipe for success today. Another reason why I wanted to switch to the spinning rod, I was able to put my gloves back on. You can't really use full finger gloves when you're working a bait caster. You wind up throwing a ton of loops in the line. But with a spinning rod, you can get away with it. And on a cold day like today, it makes a ton of difference. Oh, fish on, fish on. Yeah, look at that. He ain't big, but he's a bass. So I was pitching around the Keitech Easy Shiner on a 16th ounce jig head, just kind of slow rolling it, and he bumped it. Oh yeah, I just remembered. What was that I was saying at the beginning of the day about today being a big fish day? About I might only get 1 or 2 bites, but I have a feeling that I'm going to get one that could be 3, 4, maybe even 5 inches. That is what I said, right? I'm pretty sure that is what I said. Alright guys, so I'm back here at home in the fishing room because I want to talk about today. I want to talk about the decisions I made, the adjustments I made, and how everything all worked out. So first of all, very tough conditions today, as I explained. We had a nor'easter move through a couple days ago. It was overcast, cold, 20-mile-an-hour winds. We were faced with cold, muddy water. Obviously not ideal conditions, and I knew things were going to be pretty tough going into it. So I started by targeting shorelines that had deeper water very close by with reaction-style baits. I was using the lipless crankbait and the chatterbait. And I tried that at 2 different spots. That didn't turn up anything. I tried very briefly fishing a jig through a creek channel. That didn't work out. So I decided to make an adjustment. I downsized my tackle, went to a slower, more finesse-style presentation, and I found cleaner water. Not clean, but cleaner. And I was finally able to catch 1 dink bass at the end of the day to avoid total embarrassment. But obviously, it was a very disappointing day in terms of catching fish. Now, despite the ultimate result, I think I had a pretty good game plan today. You know, I think I made good decisions, maybe not perfect, obviously not perfect because I didn't catch much, but I thought I made good choices, and I thought I put myself in a very good position to catch fish today, but things just didn't work out that way. As the day wore on, and it started looking more and more like I wasn't going to put a catch together, I debated whether or not to even make this into a video. Because, you know, honestly, who wants to see me catch just 1 dink bass for a whole day of fishing? But then I got to thinking, you know, given today's conditions and how tough everything was, I was really curious thinking about what you guys might have done differently. Given the conditions that I was faced with today, what decisions would you have made? What adjustments would you have made? What would have been your game plan going into everything? Would you have done things the same as I would have done? Or would you do something totally different? Would you even bother going fishing on a day like today, knowing how difficult the conditions were going to be? Would you have hopped on the first flight to Florida and fished there instead? I'm really curious to know how you guys would have approached today. So what I'd really like for you to do for this video, just so that it doesn't wind up being a complete waste of Google server space, Go down into the comments and tell me what you would have done on a day like today under these conditions. I'm really anxious to see what other people have to say about how today went, because I did what I thought was appropriate. Obviously that didn't turn out so well, so I'm wondering if anybody out there has any better ideas. So that's going to be it for today. Sorry I didn't have too much catching to show you, but hopefully we can turn this into some kind of learning experience and we can all become better fishermen because of it. So thank you all so much for watching. Really look forward to reading your comments. And I will see you on the next adventure.